Secondly, we move into our body. Know the tools that we have to work with as we present. A non-leadership training institute saying is, if you can't fascinate them with the facts, then baffle them with the bull. Now, I'd be careful about using that in many professional circumstances. And yet it is true. Sometimes the what we say can cloud the what we are trying to address. Know our tools. Within the scope of leadership training, we have some outstanding material. We don't want our presentation to get in the way of the material that we are doing. Don't compromise the effectiveness of the material and the knowledge we have to impart by the way we present that. Your voice is a very key tool as we make presentations. A bit of variety. Some highs, some lows. Some really fast talking, and then maybe some slow talking. It is not hypnotism. We're not trying to lull people into a sense of security and somber. We can adjust the rate, as I said. Speed it up, slow it down. Emphasize, loud, soft, some highs, some lows, some really loud things. And then maybe we want to get their attention with nearly a whisper. The tone we use, very excited high pitch to very low, soothing low pitches. And then of course the volume. We can work with that in many different ways, and sometimes it's really important that we use some higher volume in order to get someone's attention and to wake them up. Some additional tools that we have on the other extreme from the voice is silence. How profound can silence be? Think of following a stirring rendition in a very solemn occasion of, say, the national anthem. How about those pauses of silence while people are in awe, are wrapped up in the presentation? Sometimes silence can work wonders in order to gain attention and to get your hearers to focus on what you are saying. Be careful with the frequency. We don't want to overuse it or it becomes trite. And the length. We certainly don't want to present them a time where they actually can go to sleep. Generally 6 to 8 seconds is enough. It makes its effect. It doesn't become trite. It doesn't become worrisome to the listeners. And then we can use gestures. Gestures serve to relax, and they also serve to emphasize. Relaxation for the speaker, if not the audience. And then sometimes for emphasis on what one has to say. Don't fidget. We have our little advancers, our techno devices. Some people have glasses. They have belt buckles. They have ties. They have coat lapels. They have coat pockets. They have this. Be careful about fidgeting. Movement is one thing. Fidgeting tends to get hearers to think that you're somewhat nervous. You're unsure. Be careful if you use a pen. You can use these. I've had some presentations where they continue to incessantly click their pen, which was certainly a source of distraction. Using notes is something to be careful about. Make sure when you use notes that you're very secure in them. If you have a podium, leave them there. That way it will not interfere with your presentation. As we continue into the tools that we have at our disposal, some other do not areas are trite phrases, right? You know? How about that? You got me? You know, we can use some of these things. Just look at some of these sports recordings and the sports interviews that we see. You know, how many times does that get said? Be very careful about using those in presentations. As we get into our gestures, knowing our tools, there's a couple of ideas. One of the greatest items that we have to use in gestures is our arms. Generally, they're out here doing nothing. I'll give you this insight. 2 arms, truth be known, is much less dynamic than using 1 arm. However, it is very relaxing to a speaker. As you speak and move around, use 2 arms every once in a while to get you to relax as a speaker. Take a deep breath. It also provides some points of emphasis, where you can use those sporadically to emphasize some certain things. And yet, on the other hand, many times 1 arm is a very strong indicator of emphasis. It involves individual hearers as you move around the room. Another little sidebar, many times 2 fingers are better than 1 finger, especially if you use the wrong 1 finger. You need to be careful about that. But 2 fingers tends to broaden the scope. 1 finger is very indicting, very accusing. Whereas 2 fingers brings in everyone's attention and it involves them in the message. It also shows that you're empathetic, that you believe in what you're doing.